Hi there, everyone. This is Sharon for another Conscious Sharon moment. And so, for this Conscious Sharon moment, what we are going to talk about, we're going to talk about the ACEs. Pretty much, the ACE as the adverse childhood experiences. And so, I've talked about this, I know, on my podcast. So, you can go to my podcast and, listen to it there. And I can't remember if I talked about it here. But before we move on, remember to like and share. And remember to turn on your notifications so you know when these conscious sharing moments come up, because with these conscious sharing moments, they're spontaneous, usually three to 5 days in a week. Most of the time, Monday through Friday. Sometimes it could be the weekend. And they're spontaneous. And one of the reasons I decided to not have it at a certain time, just to let you know, in that life is really about that. Life, things come down, things happen. There's so many different adjustments that we need to make. And so if we get stuck of always having to look, it's okay to look forward to something. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying though is that if you train yourself to always look for something at a certain time and it doesn't happen, then what? You know? And so we do have someone live. And so thank you, James, for tuning in to this Conscious Share moment. So moving on with ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences. I like to always substitute the adverse because of the fact I would say they may have an adverse effect, but the experience itself may not be adverse because there may not be outright like abuse or assault or anything like that. Because now that we know more about trauma, is the big T trauma and the little t trauma. And even when it comes to the ACEs, a lot of times that you may not even know that you're dealing with the little t trauma. That can be like if you had your parents, if you grew up in a one parent home and and the parent worked two jobs and so they were never home. That is a form of, and it goes into the essence of neglect and abandonment. It's not a on purpose type of thing. For those of us who grew up in that area, and for those of you who may be parents, that is something that has an impact. And growing up, with one parent, growing up without a mother, growing up without a father, if there was, death in the family, or someone that you was close to when you were young, and it can really be, I kind of call it subtle aspects that really impact us. Because I myself, I've come to realize, oh my God, I didn't realize that I was dealing with such. And and so insane. I remember a couple years ago, pretty much when I kind of started all of this stuff several years ago now, in that I had took a like a domestic violence questionnaire. I said, oh, well, since I am, into helping others, let me go ahead and complete this. I've never been in an abusive relationship. And I took it, and the results scared the mess out of me. I'm like, what is this? My score was high on the domestic violence. And I'm like, I've never been in a domestic violence relationship. I never, in no type of way. And when I say that, of course, a lot of times we're referring to, the assault piece of it when someone's hitting. But even when it comes to, like emotional abuse or anything like that, but what I come to realize is that certain experiences, when I really looked back on it and thought about it, it's the impact of it's two things, like being teased a lot as a child, and then also in, I would say, when someone has OCD traits, they come across in a certain way and they're very critical. And so I believe that my nervous system, because that's what all of this is about when it comes to the ACEs, um, certain events. that impact your nervous system, and that's why you have the little t trauma, because it may not be the outright abuse or assault or something catastrophic that has happened, but it could be the impact that it had on you, the way that your nervous system interpreted. Another example can really be where you where let's just say a parent tell you, especially like with little kids, they'll say, what's that? Kids like to put something in the outlet. It's, oh, don't do that. Or a kid is about to touch something hot and maybe burn. It's like, oh no, don't do that. And just in that tone of voice, don't do that. That, it could scare someone. You know what I'm saying? It's like, ah, and sometimes they may be more almost like that may have more of an effect on them than the actual thing that would have happened. But of course, we don't want a fire to start and we want the kid to get burned. But I'm just saying that. And so in saying that is that there are a lot of different things that comes up. So when me, anyone else, when you are triggered, I always like to say activated. When you're activated, sometimes it can be things that you may not even realize that may be activating you. It can be, I know that at least in the past, I think I'm a little better now. That I like if someone tone of voice change, and especially if I would interpret it as being mean or they're being harsh, that will really activate me. And so it's like, oh, why they gotta say it like that? Why they gotta talk like that? So when you hear yourself saying certain things, check in with yourself, and it's not enough to really check in. It's enough to really go deep. For some individuals, you may want to get therapy. You can talk to someone, and when I say that, meaning like a friend, but this is some really deep work, and pretty much it touches on the shadow work. Is that deep emotion and feelings that we have. And when it comes to that, it's not just about talking about it, it's about releasing it in your body. So I just wanted to really just touch bases on that because even in doing the work, no matter where we are or where you are, there's always more work to be done because we have blind spots. You can think that you resolve something, but it's like peeling an onion or removing the debris. It's like there's just different layers of it that is really deep, deep, deep. So in saying all of that too, is that you can still live in joy. You can still be at peace. You can still be at ease. It does. And when I say it takes work, I don't want to make it sound like, it's not like everybody's going around, everything is so sad. But what I will say is that sometimes some things may trigger you and you just may not realize that it's something really deep and something you may need to go back on. And again, when it comes to these it says childhood experiences, but also what it is, it can be any repetitive experience. It may not be the same experience, it could be the same, but the repetitive experience, I would say, that impacted your nervous system. And also, I can't remember who said it, but someone has said, especially when it comes to the little t, it's not always what had been done to you, it can also be what you did not receive. And so that can have a profound impact as well. And so this is why, as adults, we work on ourselves so that we can uncover, recover, and be the best version of ourselves. And hopefully, we have people in our lives that we can talk to. And even sometimes, if there's like a little clash, we're still going to be okay because all of us are doing our work. And we can look at each other and say, oh, that's what that was. That was their aces, that was showing out. It really wasn't them. You know what I'm saying? Because again, when it comes to those knee jerk reactions, I call it knee-jerk reactions, even your pet peeves, some of your biggest belief. Sometimes they're really ingrained, and you think it's you, but it's really not. It's a part of you that's protecting you from yourself, and that's what the shadow does a lot. And so again, just make sure. I mean, this is why self care is so important. Yes, it is about the butter, the butter, the bubble baths with butter shea. It is about that, but it's also about you doing, reflection work, looking towards the future, being able to move about the world and not always be in a negative way, and be mindful of your words as well. And so just know with the aces, they I would say they let you know just where you need to go. That's the main thing. They just let you know where you need to go. Because even I myself, I, may be activated by certain things, and sometimes at the time when it happens, I may not realize that someone else may point it out, and I'm, oh wow, I really do, need to work on that, and not being activated. And so again, I just wanted you all to be aware of that, to keep that in mind, and just know that you can and you are living in joy, and you can do both. Continue to work within yourself, on yourself, and continue to live in joy, continue to live life. And so, if any of this resonated with you, by all means, you can reach out to me, and definitely visit my website so that you can keep up to date of, any events going on, workshops and things of that sort. And so that's www.affirmholisticnetwork.net, and that's holistic with the W. So again, thanks so much for joining me for this conscious share moment, and let me know in the comments if there are any aces that you know that have activated you and how you were able to work through it.